Packers still a playoff team, still with a lot of good players, except during the drafting some questionable players. Hear it all here at the Sports Scoop. You enjoy sports content, so I think he has everything he needs around him this year. The Bay Buccaneers, Ali Marpet.
I'm doing well.
I'm someone that knows the game pretty well.
Drafted 3rd overall by the Boston Celtics.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another podcast from the Sports Scoop. Today, we are continuing our Buster Boom series. We are going to be analyzing the Packers for the 2020 NFL season. As always, if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you haven't, we are analyzing all 32 NFL teams for next season in a series called Buster Boom. So if you haven't watched some of our other videos, I'll pop some of them up here. So let's get straight into it. So we're going to talk about key players. We're going to talk about off-season and in-off-season free agency and the draft, and then we're going to give an overall record we believe they will have in 2020. So let's get straight into it with key players. So, key player number one, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback that has been with them for over a decade now, almost going. He's been with them for such a long time, been such a great quarterback, has stayed one of the most consistent and solid quarterbacks for so long. Last year playing pretty well, 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, which is okay. Playing a lot of not a lot of interceptions with 4, which is really good. And then a pass rating, which is a decent pass rating. You think maybe a little bit better with 95.4. That's all right. But I would say, Aaron Rodgers, I think this year he's going to be the starter. I don't think you can argue Jordan Love starting. So overall, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good season. I think it's going to be another good, solid season where he's going to be able to bring this team to playoffs. So I love Aaron Rodgers here. I think another 4,000-yard season. Maybe you're looking at 20 above touchdowns, and I'm hoping a pass rating of 100 or above. Now let's go to our next player, Davante Adams, obviously the wide receiver that's been with them for so long. Last year, he was injured for a good amount last year, just 3 yards shy of 1,000 with 997, 83 receptions, an average of 12 yards per catch, which is solid, and 5 touchdowns, which is a little low comparing to last year where he had 13. But I mean, injury obviously was a big role. I had him in fantasy, and obviously there's a lot of injury. But I think when he's healthy, he's a top 5 receiver in this league, you could say. I love him. I think Davante Adams is going to carry this team again, especially them not drafting or not really signing anyone in free agency. That's really improved that receive core. So I think he's going to be that, again, number 1 receiver, and he's just going to have to show year in and year out why he's there for Aaron Rodgers to support that Packers offense. Now, finally, to Surge. Surge, talk about your player.
Aaron Jones, who honestly not only one of the most underrated running backs, one of the most underrated players in the NFL, in my opinion. He had a great season in 2019, but no one even seemed to notice. He had over 1,000 rushing yards and over 1,500 total yards rushing and receiving. He tied Christian McCaffrey for most all-purpose touchdowns. Most all-purpose touchdowns in the season, so he's tied with them. So he had a great year. If anything, you could consider he might have been their best offensive player that year, leading them to a 13-3 record. So I love Aaron Jones. He has potential to still be great this year also.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's segue into our next section of the Packers team for defense. Serge, take it away.
Yeah, also, so on defense, they had a great pass rush last year. The Smiths, Za'Darius and Preston, they put up great numbers and had a great pass rushing tandem. And then in the secondary, they had Jair Alexander, the cornerback from Louisville, who had a great year as well. He's going to be a great young corner for years to come. And I think the Packers have been known for not having great defense, but that might turn around in the next couple and from starting this year for years to come, because they definitely have a nice young core on that team.
Yeah, I think just definitely one, kind of gray area in that defense is obviously losing their middle linebacker, Blake Martinez, to the Giants, and Fackrell to the Giants. So, that linebacking core is definitely not as good. Obviously signing agent Christian Kirksey from the Browns and some other linebackers. So I think the linebacking core is definitely a question to talk about. But now into our next part where we talk about everyone wants to know, the draft, and obviously the Jordan Love pick. And me and Serge, I guess this will probably be the longest part of the video, give both of our opinions. And I think everyone says this. I think it's not a good pick for now, but obviously for the future, I think it is. And I've said in so many videos, I think Jordan Love has the highest ceiling out of any of these quarterbacks. I think he's so mobile and has an arm like no other in that draft class. I love his arm, and his mobility and ability to throw the ball is just really, really good. And, obviously he was compared to, obviously not this much, but compared to Patrick Mahomes to some extent, which obviously going into the league, it's never bad to be compared to one of the best quarterbacks in currently. But I like the pick for future because I think he will be a franchise quarterback and will be a really good quarterback. But I think obviously for now, first round pick, if you're addressing a player for now and they're in win now mode, I think it's a receiver here to pair with Devonta Adams, and there were still a lot of good receivers, especially with the stacked receiver class. So I think for now, the pick is not good for now, but for the future, I think it'll pay off. And, I think a lot of people will be shocked on how well Jordan Love's able to play, and he's going to develop behind a really, really good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So I love him for the future, but for now, not a great pick. Serge, anything else to add?
So, well, basically, first talk about the Love Mahomes comparisons. Well, yes, they do have similar arm talent, and they were both considered boomer bust prospects. I think Mahomes put up much better numbers. Love struggled in his, I believe, junior year. He put up like 20 touchdowns, 17 picks, so it wasn't a great year for him. He still has amazing potential, but I don't really dislike the pick. But what I dislike is them trading up, because the teams that they had ahead of them were Miami, who picked Tua, Seattle, who have Russell Wilson, the Ravens, who have Lamar, and the Titans, who had just given Ryan Tannehill a huge extension. So I just didn't see why to give up so much draft capital for Jordan Love, who is still not considered not an amazing prospect, when you could just wait for him at 30. And I think also that's what I don't like about that pick. And then moving on to their second round pick, I didn't like that they picked up A.J. Dillon, who's a good running back, but when you already have Aaron Jones, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why you make that pick, because when you again in one of the most deepest wide receiver class in NFL history, you go wide receiver, because Aaron Rodgers obviously needs a second weapon besides Devontae Adams, because clearly he doesn't really trust anyone else in that system. So I just don't understand why you take A.J. Dillon or Jordan Love. Maybe you take another quarterback in the first, maybe take wide receiver the first round, and then take another quarterback in the second, or maybe you take Jordan Love in the first, but then get a receiver in the second. They didn't even draft a receiver in the entire draft. That's my problem with their draft.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say. I think the AJ Dillon pick is hated on a little bit too much. I've researched him, and I think and watched a lot of videos, and I think he's an underrated player. I think he's going into a really good obviously Aaron Jones, but I think he's going to be an underrated running back. I think he's going to get some carries, and if Aaron Jones is injured or not feeling good a game, I think AJ Dillon can exploit his talent. So I don't hate the pick. Obviously, though, you need to take a receiver there, especially if you've already upset literally your whole fan base by taking a quarterback when you have one of the best quarterbacks possibly to ever play the game, one of the better ones. And it's just yeah. Sergio,
I agree with you. A.J. Dillon is a great prospect. I don't hate the player himself. I just hate the decision to take a running back when you already have one of the premier running backs in the league, when wide receiver is a pressing concern, especially in one of the most deepest classes.
Right. Now to free agency, where the Packers didn't have too many, shocking free agent signings. Obviously, I kind of want to hone in on one, which is the receiver that was recently traded to the Colts last year, or maybe signed in free agency. I'm not sure. Devin Funchess or Funk. I don't know. Funchess. And you know what? I think this is a good pick or a good free agent signing. I think obviously not the best receiver, but he adds some size to that team. He adds another above mediocre receiver to that Packers team. He's experienced. He's been in the league for a bit. He's not a rookie, so obviously that's good. So I think that's a good pickup, and I think that definitely isn't going to negatively impact that team. He's a very big receiver, and I think he's just going to be another target for Aaron Rodgers, and I think that they needed to bring him in, especially after not drafting any receiver throughout the whole draft. Serge, any other?
Yeah, I like that. I like Devin Funchess, but the only two concerns I have with him is, one, durability. he struggled to stay healthy with the Colts last year and would have been a great option for them last year, especially going if they were maybe help them go have a little bit of a better season. But also my second concern is how he's going to blend in with Devontae Adams. They have similar skill sets, so I'm a little bit curious about how that's going to work. I don't doubt that it could work well, but I'm a little bit curious, and maybe that will work. Maybe not selecting a receiver in the draft will pay off. Maybe Devin Funchess will have a good year, but for now it's a question mark. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think it could complement each other because, Devontae Adams is obviously still a deep threat and a red zone threat, but he's also that running catch player who can just get a ton of yards off running catch. And then Devin Funchess is that throw up to let him one-on-one catch it over a cornerback in the end zone type receiver. So I think it definitely might pay off. And now to the end of the video where we talk about records. I think I guess I'll go first. I think realistically, I think this is a 10-6 season for the Packers. I think, a little bit of a drop off this season. And, I think 10-6, 11-5, I think between there. I don't think above 11 wins, though. I just think not drafting a receiver and just Aaron Rodgers obviously, can't not be affected by them drafting a quarterback. So I think, 10-6, 11-5. I'm going to lean towards 11-5. But I think around there is, I think, realistic. And I feel like on all of these videos, we've always just been kind of just talking bad about these teams. But I think that's a good record. It's obviously still a playoff record. But Serge, what's your record for them?
Yeah, I've got them at 9-7. I feel like again it was a poor draft for them this year, and like I said, I think they didn't make that many great free agency moves. So it's gonna, and obviously yes, there you could say that they went 13-3 last year, but I think that was partly due to their very easy schedule. They didn't have that many hard games. They didn't really play particularly well, even in the games that they did win. There are a couple games like their season finale against the Lions where you can argue that they didn't deserve to win that game, and that was against a bad Lions team. So, yeah. And then also the divisional round that they did win against the Seahawks, that was a very depleted Seahawks team. So I think the Packers have been really beneficiaries. I don't think they got better. So I think 9-7 is an appropriate record. I think the loss of Brian Bulaga will also hurt the team.
Yeah.
In a big way. So I think.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I actually have to run because Liverpool are going to be champions in 4 minutes, and I need to go watch the finish of that game. Thank you guys so much Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure to like and subscribe and watch some of the other videos. Peace out.